Guys, today I wanted to take a look at the newest fundraising numbers for both Joe Biden and President Trump. According to this new New York Times article, these two New York Times articles, I think, do a very good job at describing how Joe Biden and Donald Trump's current campaign financial situation is. Before we get into that, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link is at the very top of the description below. We're doing many giveaways as well as events and contests on there, so make sure you join and you do not miss out. Again, the link is at the very top of the description down below. As well as that, I have also recently launched channel memberships, just 99 cents per month, and you get access to some pretty sweet perks. So if you're interested, make sure you check these channel memberships out. Just click on that blue join button next to the subscribe button. So taking a look at these two new articles from the New York Times, as you can see, in the month of September, President Trump only had $63.1 million in the bank, and Joe Biden had $177.3 million. So basically, in the final month of the campaign, Trump had $63 million to spend. Joe Biden with $177.3 million, which is basically 3 times more than the amount that Trump has had. And as we saw in 2016, as you can see here, Clinton literally outspent Trump 2-1 in 2016, but she still lost the election. And money does not, more money doesn't mean you're going to win, but definitely money does help. And that is just not debatable, because if you have more money, you will be able to put out more ads and you will be able to spread your message more and get your name out there. So money does help you. And then I also want to take a look at this other article here, which I think is really interesting as well. And if we take a look at this graph, basically this is the fundraising numbers for both Biden and Trump in these states as they have changed over time from May 3rd to October 10th. October 10th is basically just 11 days ago, while the 3rd of May, that is after Joe Biden was already the presumptive nominee and everybody knew it was going to be Biden versus Trump. And taking a look, when we replay this graphic right here, if I play it right now, you see that President Trump's circles are large right now, Biden's circles getting larger and larger, and then Biden taking over Trump. So basically, if Biden's circle is larger than Trump's, then he spent more money in those areas. And then President Trump, if he has spent more money, then his circle would be larger. So in a state like Georgia right there, Trump has spent a lot more money than Joe Biden. But if we take a look at a state like Arizona, Biden has spent a lot more money. So if we replay this one more time, as you can see, Trump doing very, very well in fundraising in the beginning, Biden, lacking at that point in time. And so really, Biden really did have a fundraising issue during the beginning of his campaign. I mean, if you remember back to the Democratic primaries, you'll see that Joe Biden really was doing very, very poorly with campaigning. Not campaigning, but fundraising. He was fundraising lower numbers than Pete Buttigieg, lower than Elizabeth Warren, than Bernie Sanders, even Kamala Harris. So Joe Biden really was not able to bring in that amount of money that he needed during the Democratic primary. He was definitely underfunded. However, as of right now, he is doing better than ever. I mean, he has raised, I believe, the largest amount of money for any campaign ever, I'm pretty sure. So Joe Biden doing very well. And taking a look at this map, a lot of money has been spent in the state of Florida. As you can see, Joe Biden does tend to outspend President Trump by a little bit in basically every single area there in the state of Florida. Arizona, Joe Biden spending a lot of money. Trump also spending quite a bit of money to defend that state for himself. And then the state of Nevada, Joe Biden also has spending President Trump. We also see a huge amount of spending in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, quite a bit in Minnesota. We also see a lot in the state of New Hampshire. See that Joe Biden really does seem to want to lock down. State of Maine, Trump is out fundraising Biden in the 1st district. And then Iowa and Ohio are seeing surprisingly low numbers of fundraising for President Trump. He said that he's confident on these 2 states. I wouldn't be too confident if I were him, but I do think that these states will go to President Trump. State of Texas, Trump really isn't spending too much money here. Joe Biden's spending quite a bit. I mean, this is a state that I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's definitely going to increase off of Clinton in 2016. And I think he's definitely going to bring the Democratic Party just one step closer to flipping the state of Texas. And then taking a look at the state of Georgia, we also see a lot of money being poured there into the state of Georgia, mainly by President Trump. Joe Biden really isn't spending too much in Georgia, a lot of money, as you can see that big circle right there for the current president, and then a lot of money in North Carolina. However, Joe Biden does seem to be outspending Donald Trump in the state of North Carolina as well. So really on this map right here, really the only states in which Trump is out fundraising Biden, the really only major states, are the states of Georgia, Ohio, and Iowa, while in every single other state, Joe Biden's massively overspending compared to the current president. I mean, Florida, Joe Biden is spending a lot more. So is in Arizona, the state of Nevada, as well as basically all of the rest. But as you can see, every single circle there, the blue circle is always larger. And taking a look down here, this is basically Joe Biden versus President Trump's spending. As you can see, we started off in the month of May, and now it is the month of October on the very right. And basically, this is tracking both Joe Biden and Donald Trump's ad spending in basically all of the battleground states. As you can basically see in every single one of these graphs, President Trump was, greatly spending a lot more money than Joe Biden in many of these states. I mean, taking a look at the Florida graph, Joe Biden was doing much worse than President Trump in the beginning, really spending no money up until the month of June and July. And then for President Trump, I mean, he had to cut so many ads out of the state. I mean, he literally went to zero for 1 week right there. He went straight up, however, and his spending there really is increasing right now. This is definitely a state that President Trump needs. There's no way that he can win the election without the state of Florida. I mean, President Trump, if Joe Biden wins Florida, Trump can basically win every other battleground state, and he's not going to win the election if Joe Biden also wins the Clinton 2016 states. So Florida is a very, very crucial state for President Trump. It's probably not going to get him over 270 electoral votes, but it's definitely a state that he really cannot win this election without. And then taking a look at the state of Pennsylvania, Joe Biden spending quite a bit of money here. And if we take a look at the graph for President Trump right here, he did not spend money for over a month here in Pennsylvania, and that definitely did hurt him. His numbers really aren't too great there right now compared to last time. He is expected to lose the state of Arizona as well. Again, Joe Biden, out underspending compared to President Trump in the beginning of this campaign. And honestly, the Trump campaign really wasn't too smart with how they were spending their money. I mean, they spent way too much money at the beginning during the Democratic primaries, and studies do show that those campaign ads really did not help him in the long run. And then taking a look at President Trump's graph, we see so many just, taking ads off of the airwaves. I mean, you see Trump cutting all ads from Florida at one point in time, out of Pennsylvania for weeks in the state of Pennsylvania, and Arizona also quite a few weeks there. He also cut all ad spending in North Carolina at one point as well. State of Michigan, he cut ad spending for a really long time, but is, starting it up again. The state of Wisconsin, Joe Biden spending quite a bit more money than President Trump, almost $3 million as of this week. And then President Trump, I mean, his numbers are declining in Wisconsin as well. Minnesota, similar picture here. President Trump spending a lot more until, now Joe Biden seems to have taken over there as well. However, Georgia does seem to be consistently spending more. President Trump's campaign is spending more there in the state of Georgia. Joe Biden really not spending too much money there. This is not a state that this is not a state that Biden needs, but definitely a state that President Trump does need. Joe Biden does not need the state of Georgia, nor does he need Ohio, and nor does he need Iowa. But Joe Biden is not really spending too much money in these three states. He's mainly focusing on the important states like Florida, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Michigan, and Wisconsin, of course, Minnesota as well. State that I think if he loses, he's going to lose the election. But Georgia, Ohio, Iowa, these three states, I think right now are Trump states, but they are states that are going to be very, very close. And these states are really going to determine the electoral college margin for Joe Biden, really not going to decide the actual election. So Georgia, Trump is spending a lot of money here to keep his lead. He is struggling here in Georgia. I mean, he is, I think, still polling behind Joe Biden on average in Georgia, so that's not a good sign. The state of Ohio, I believe he is now polling over Biden as of right now. Just, I think it just flipped towards President Trump on 538. So it did the state of Georgia. But Ohio, honestly, not looking too good for Donald Trump. He hasn't spent money here in months, and Joe Biden is doing better than ever in the state of Ohio. State of Iowa, Joe Biden also leads here as well. As you can see, Trump has basically spent no money here in the last couple of weeks. And then so we can see this map again. This is basically just statewide, so it's a lot easier to read. You see that Joe Biden outspending President Trump in most states that are tied in Iowa, Ohio, and Maine. And then the state of Florida, Joe Biden, outspending President Trump by a little bit there. Georgia is the only state where Trump noticeably spends more than Joe Biden. Texas, of course, this is not a state that Trump really needs to worry about. He's not going to win it by a huge margin, but I don't think he really needs to worry too much about this state, whether it's actually going to go to the president this time around. But Biden, I think, is definitely trying to put a little bit of money in there, just possibly gaining some support there in Texas. I think it's a waste of money. He's probably not going to win Texas, and with all of those mail-in ballots and you not being able to use COVID-19 as an excuse, I mean, Texas is not going to be that great for Joe Biden, but I think he's still going to do relatively well there. And then Nebraska, Joe Biden outspending Donald Trump as well, mainly in the 2nd district, the district that Clinton lost for the first time in a couple of years in the 2nd district of Nebraska, Minnesota as well. Joe Biden outspending Donald Trump, a state that Clinton only won by 1.5%. Virginia, barely any spending in Virginia, which I think is pretty surprising. While the District of Columbia, the GOP does tend to spend a little bit of money there, surprisingly. I don't know why President Trump is spending so much money in the District of Columbia, the state of New Hampshire. Joe Biden also spending a little bit of money there. He doesn't want the race there to be as close as it was in 2016. State of Maine also, as you can see, it's pretty close. The states of Maine, Ohio, and then the state of Iowa. And then you can see all those dotted states were states that Trump flipped in 2016. You see on this map that there are 6 flipped states: Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, as well as the state of Florida. And in basically every single one of these states, President Trump is not spending noticeably more money than Joe Biden. And so this map, I mean, this really does show that Donald Trump's campaign finances really are not great right now, and that's not a good sign. I mean, we are just less than 2 weeks away from the election, and we are literally in the final stretch right now, and Donald Trump's campaign is running out of money. Definitely not a good sign. And taking a look at how much the candidates spent on issues, Biden, of course, spent a lot of money on COVID-19, ads regarding COVID-19 and Trump's response and how he could do better, I guess. Obama, $14 million. His character, $12 million, really not too surprising. Medicare, $9 million. Social Security, $9 million as well. And then we have other category right there. For President Trump, he spent $10 million on China, which I think is pretty surprising. Immigration, $9 million. COVID-19, just $7 million on the coronavirus. And then economy, $7 million. Healthcare, $5 million. So you see some pretty different, differing advertising strategies. You see that Biden is really capitalizing on Trump's poor COVID-19 response, while Trump is trying to avoid that as much as possible. However, he's still putting out some ads where he's saying how great of a job he did. I mean, taking a look at the numbers, he did not do a good job, and I don't know why people are saying that he has, because honestly, our response was worse than basically any other country in the world in terms of what has actually happened in our country. And then you see this, Joe Biden is raking in a lot more money than the current president right now, and that is alarming for President Trump. I mean, he started his campaign in 2017. He filed for re-election in 2017 on Inauguration Day, and he's had so much time to fundraise. He's had so much time to prepare for this moment, and he just seems completely unprepared. And we do have the final presidential debate tomorrow, and President Trump needs a great performance. And if we see anything like we did the first debate, Joe Biden's numbers are going to increase even more than it has already. I think that Joe Biden will do fine. He's not the greatest debater. He did not have a great debate last time, but it was certainly much, much better than President Trump's. And then last thing I also want to take a look at is this Battleground states map. And then this is basically just tracking which states Joe Biden and President Trump actually need to win the election. So you can see out of these safer states, we have 212 for Biden, 125 for Trump, which is exactly this map right here. And then taking a look at the states here, these are all of basically the closer states. We have the lean states for the Democratic Party, the lean Republican state, which is just Texas. And then we have the true toss-up states. I think this is pretty accurate right here. So Michigan, I think, is going to go to Joe Biden at this point in time. But I'm just going to fill these in. So Minnesota, I think that is going to go to Joe Biden, as well as the state of New Hampshire and the state of Nevada. These are the 3 states that Clinton won in 2016. So you see 200 32 electoral votes. And believe it or not, President Trump won every other state down here in 2016. So Michigan right now I think is pretty safe for Joe Biden. That puts him up at 248 electoral votes. If he wins the state of Pennsylvania as well, this is pretty fun to do. You guys should definitely check this out for yourself on the New York Times. Pennsylvania, 20 electoral votes puts Biden at 268 electoral votes. Wisconsin also doing very well for Joe Biden, so Joe Biden would win with 278 electoral votes. I think he would also carry Arizona at this point in time, so it's 289. The state of Nebraska, that would be another extra electoral vote. And then Texas, I don't see it going for Biden. Right now, it's probably not going to go to Joe Biden, even if he does very well on the Electoral College. And then these real toss-up states, North Carolina, first state I would put for Joe Biden, and then the state of Florida. Then that would put the second district of Maine. But these three states, honestly, Iowa I think is a little bit more to the right. But these two states, Ohio and Georgia, I do have a really hard time categorizing for both Biden and Trump. I will put Ohio into the Trump column as well as Georgia as well, actually. So this right here, I think this is a pretty realistic map, but we can also take a look at the New York Times potential outcomes. So this is a near 2016 repeat. Basically what this means is that President Trump would win the election, but he would not win the state of Michigan right there. That is the state that is different on this electoral map, because they do agree that Michigan is probably not going to go to Trump, even in his best case scenario. And then if Trump barely wins, this would be 270, 268. This would be such a close race. This would be if Trump was able to win those three Rust Belt states, but he loses the states of Nevada as well as Iowa and Ohio, which is just completely unrealistic. And then if Biden wins the lean states, so Biden narrowly wins, that'll be 290 electoral votes for the former vice president. He does not need to win any of these toss-up states to win this race. I mean, if we can reset it right there, Joe Biden does not need any toss-up state, and he will still have won this election. That is just how good of a position Joe Biden is in right now, and he doesn't even need to win all of his lean states. He just needs to win some of them, and he will cross that 270 electoral vote mark very comfortably. And then the Biden domination map right here, 375 electoral votes. Joe Biden wins every single toss-up as well as lean Democratic state, and then President Trump wins the state of Texas, of course. So this was pretty fun to take a look at. I think definitely you guys should all take a look at this for yourself on the New York Times. This is the Battleground states that Biden needs to win. This is their paths to 270 electoral votes. And so that will be it for this video today. We took a look at the fundraising numbers for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and taking a look at the pathways to victory for both Biden and Trump as of right now. And so make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link is again at the very top of the description below. Consider joining my channel if you're interested in this 99-cent deal, just 99 cents per month, and you get access to some pretty sweet perks. And in addition to that, make sure you like this video down below if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Leave your thoughts in the comments below along with suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future. And I will see all of you guys in the next video.